Okay, now what I'm going to do is go ahead and draft in the dimension for this piece right here. Now, as you can tell, I've gone ahead and put a lot of dimensions in. I need to put in this dimension here as well, so we can get that in. And that is, and we also need to put in this dimension. So there's about 3 dimensions we need to get in: this one, and this one. So we'll go ahead and work on that right now. So get my ruler here, and I'm going to go ahead and line it up with my 30, 60, 90 triangle, and I'm going to come off of this, I like to come off about a ½ inch. Okay, I'll slide over here to this vertex right here, and again come off about a ½ inch. Now, I may need to come back and clean that up, make sure they're the same height. Yes, I need to do that. So we'll take care of that as well. And now what I want to do, let's go ahead and measure this, make sure it's at a ½ inch. So I'll take my ruler here and find a ½ inch. Yep, I'm a little tall on that, a little high on that. And I want to go 3/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and that's where my line will actually go across. Slide over here again to the same side, mark that, and 3/8 right there. Okay, now I'll take my racer shield. If you don't have one, you can survive without them. Prefer that someday, if you get a chance, go ahead and get you a racer shield. You can get them off of Staples or Hobby Lobby or Michaels, or probably Office Depot as well. So I'll go ahead and draw that in. And I'm going to darken up that line just a little bit so we can see it. And again, you always keep about a 1/16 inch gap off of the object line. Again, the object line is the outer perimeter of the part of the object that you're drawing. Okay, got that in there. Take my trusty eraser shield, put it about right there, kind of clean that up a little bit. Yeah, it looks better. Now again, you can draw just a straight arrowhead. I have my little template that I've used, and really helps me out a lot. If you don't have one, again, you can find one at any kind of art supply shop or technical drawing resources you can find on Amazon. I know a lot of us like to shop at Walmart. Walmart's a great store, but certain things they don't have, and typically I've not found any drafting equipment at Walmart, but I do find it at Hobby Lobby, Michaels, as well as Office Depot and Staples. Okay, so now again, we'll use our registration marks here, line up our ruler. We'll come up here and we will draw this in. And we've got one dimension that we need to fix. I'll show you that here in a second. Come off that about so far. Come off that about so far. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix this dimension. This is not correct. I'm gonna go ahead and take that out. I misread that. In fact, I'm just gonna erase just the 3. I misread the reference drawing incorrectly. So I'll put a 1 in, and that's gonna be 1 and 1 1/4 inches. Okay, again, let's find our ½ inch mark. Come out to about right there. Come down about 3/8, make a mark. Again, slide over. ½ inch mark, 3/8 of an inch. Okay, I'll come in and draft in that dimension string right there, coming across. Okay, I'm going to erase this off. Again, I cannot stress to you how important it is for your drawing to be neatly drawn, your text to be written correctly, because how legible your drawing is going to be vitally important to conveying the information you have on it. It could mean a piece of medical equipment that could save a person's life. It could be a high-performance fighter jet that you're drawing a part for that needs to be read because of the high-stress environments that fighter jets are typically in. An aircraft carrier, a ship, anything you can imagine. Your drawing ability is important. Your professionalism is very important for the advancement of your career and how you're able to move up in your life in technical design or graphics or engineering. So flip this around, and we're going to come in, we're going to put this dimension in. Again, the dimension up here on the top, I had it incorrectly drawn. Oops, I did do it wrong. I messed up twice. My bad. Yep, that part was 3/4 of an inch. I made a mistake. Happens. 3/4 of an inch. That's correct, because that's that one little feature right there. And I'm going to clean that up in that erasure mark right there. And I'm glad I saw that. And sometimes, speaking of that, sometimes when you make a mistake, you're going to make mistakes. You can't get around that. So what you might do sometime is to have another designer, your manager, or someone say, hey, look, can you put another set of eyes on what it is I've designed? I want to make sure what I'm doing makes sense. And believe me, managers appreciate that because they want to make sure you're doing a quality job. And they really appreciate that you're conscious enough to come in and talk to them and say, hey, boss, I need some help. Did I do this right? And they like that. They like the fact that, you want to get an extra set of eyes on your design so it makes sense. Okay, let's get this last dimension here, which is going to be 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to come out about 1/2 an inch. And I'll make myself a mark at 3/8. Come down here. I'm coming off this 5 right here, if you can see that. And I'm going about 5, a little bit past the 5, about a 16th past. Now I'll take my ruler or scale, whatever you want to call it. I'll put it here and take my 30, 60, 90 and put it right there. And so I draw in that line. Now we'll get our template and we will come in here and put in the arrowhead. Okay, that arrowhead is in, and this arrowhead is going in right here. Now, these are going to be pretty tight. Let's see if we don't overlap. That's pretty tight, but that'll work. Probably I should have put it on the outside, would make more sense. And again, that is 3/4 of an inch as well. Double check that measurement, make sure I'm on it. Again, it should be 3/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, it'll go. All right, so now what we want to do is draw in this isometric over here, and we'll stop for now. Okay, now it's time for us to go ahead and draft in the isometric. Remember, everything's drawn. That scale is 1 inch, it's half to 1/2 inch. I should have taken that out. Anyway, I just put in, drew that wrong. So scale is colon to 1/2 inch. Okay, now, again, more eyes looking on your drawing. Now what we're going to do is draw this isometric here. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and measure out 2.5 inches. Now, one thing I want to stress is that an isometric projection, because the size of this sheet of paper is so small, I'm drawing it at a true 1/2 inch scale. A normal isometric is drawn at whatever scale it is on a larger sheet of paper, and then the actual size, say the size is 2 inches, is then multiplied times 0.866, which would give you the true isometric reduction scale. We're not doing that on these drawings here because they're simple pictorial drawings, and the requirements do not require us to do that, and we would not have enough space, and our rulers are quite not accurate enough. So we're not going to worry about that in this example. Again, draw lightly your lines. Now we know that the part is 2.5 inches tall, which means that it would be half of that, which would be 1 1/4. So we're going to find our vertex around that point. We'll come out here and draw this at 1 1/4. Now again, it's real important on this particular drawing to draw lightly as you can, because you will be doing a lot of erasing. This is a rather complex drawing, and it's important that we not draw too heavy in order to make our lines easier to erase later. Now what we're doing is laying out our draft lines, or draught lines, as some people would call it. Coming up here, I'll flip this over, and we're going to go out this way. Okay, now the part is 1.5 inches wide at the base here, and deep, 1.5 inches deep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw 3/4 of an inch. And I'll just pull my ruler up here. I'll start off the 1 mark here and come up to 3 1/4 and make a mark there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we're going to try to get that in. Now what I'm going to do is draw a vertical line. Again, lightly draw that line. Okay. Now I'll come up here to the top and I'll draw in, I'll move my ruler up to the middle registration mark. And I'll draw across the top here. Okay. And I really don't need to measure that because I've got this vertex right here. So I just flip this guy over. Again, it's probably a line I'll erase, but I need it for laying out right now. I'll draw it down like that. So okay, now you see in a 3-dimensional rectangular shape. So we'll take this line here out, take this line here out, and we're going to start detailing out the features on this isometric. Take that out, take that out. Okay, so we know that this distance right here is 3/4 of an inch, so half of 3/4 of an inch is 3/8 of an inch. So we'll go 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and we'll make a mark there. Okay, again, line up my registration marks. I use the lower two. I'll take my 30, 60, 90, put it perpendicular on the ruler, and I will go up lightly a certain size. Now what I need to do is, I know that the part actually from this part goes in here. I'm going to lightly draw a diagonal line there. Now I'll come back and clean this up, but I need to know some dimensions first. So we know that this dimension right here is 3/8 of an inch, so half of 3/8 is 3/16. And so what I'll do is turn my ruler around and I will find 3/16 and I'll make a mark there. Here, I'll slide up over here and I'll make a mark there. Okay. Now I'll take my 30, 60, 90 and my ruler, which I'm functioning it as a T-square, and I'll do this right here. By the way, I do have a T-square here. I'm going to show you a little bit how this works. The T-square, as you can tell, has a T right here, and it's square, and this is a pretty good one. It's made by Alvin. It's a German company. Now I'll move this out of the way, and then you can see, because it's flush against this left edge, I can quickly draw a lot faster. But you don't have a T-square, and I understand that, and so I'm going to work with you, and we're going to do this correctly without the T-square. We're in this together, right? So come up here, and I'll come across. Now you're starting to see some details pop into play. Like right now, from that vertex right there to right here, I'm able to draw the square feature that extrudes out the side or the front side of the part. And as you can see, it's starting to come in. Now what I'm going to do is, we know that the measurement, it is 1 inch tall by what this here says, so we're going to come up 1/2 inch on this. We'll turn our ruler around, we'll find a 1/2 inch. Looks like that'll be pretty close, and we'll draw 1/2 inch. Okay, now we should get a couple lines in at this point, and let's do that. One line, actually I think 3 lines are going to pop in here. 2 lines. Flip this around. Oh, maybe 4 lines actually. I think you're right, 4 lines. Back this way. Okay, flip this around, and we'll come in and draw this. Maybe 5 lines. I think 5 lines are going to come in. Yep, sure enough. 5 lines was able to come in by that one correct measurement on that feature. Let's make sure we're lined up here correctly though. Okay. So now we'll come up. Oh, actually 6 lines possibly. Yeah, I think so. Just by getting one measurement, we're able to draw in all these lines right here, as you can see. That's really good. We'll come in here and erase some of this so you can see a little bit better. Get rid of that. Come down here. Go ahead and take that out. Don't need that anymore. I'll come back here and redraw this a little bit heavier. Yeah, this line's coming in good. Okay, now we know that the part across the top is 1 1/4, which would be 5/8 of an inch if I was to do that in half scale. So that's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. So I'll make a mark right there. Okay. Line this up on the registrations. Unless I'm using a T-square, of course, which is nice. Come across here, draft that line in right there. Okay, so that's starting to show up. Now, let's figure out the height right here, which was 1 1/4, so half of 1 1/4 is 5/8 of an inch, right? I think that's correct. Yeah, 1 1/4. Okay, so we'll find 5/8 of an inch here, and we'll put that in. I'll come around this side of the drawing. Hopefully I don't hit my head on the camera. I'll make my 5/8 mark right there. Okay. Back to the registration marks. Back to 30, 60, 90 triangle. Draft that in. Flip him over. Now we're going to come back on this about 3 inches. So I'm just going to lightly draw that in. Now it says 3 inches the overall, so that'd be 1.5 inches. So we'll find the 1.5 inch point there. Make our mark. Okay, so there it is. And I'm going to come in here, line this up. And I'm going to draft that line in. Okay, there it is. Flip this over. And let's get our registration marks lined up again. Kind of shifted on me. Alright. Put that line in. Okay, now the old saying goes, connect the dots. I'm going to draw this shape in here to there. Nice, that looks good. And we're going to come over here. Oh, we got to make sure this depth is crooked because it's not. We got to fix that. Okay, not a problem. We know it's 3/4 of an inch, so half 3/4 of an inch is 3/8 of an inch. So we're going to come over here and find our 3/8 of an inch. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. So we'll line up on that vertex and we'll make a mark right there. I don't know if you can see a tiny dot I put in, but I put one in. I'm going to come in here, line that up, and I will draft in this line. Okay, so there's that top part of the line. And now all I got to do is just connect it down to here. So I'm going to put my ruler around here, come up to that one, again, connect the dots. Start up here. Okay, draw that in. Now it's looking pretty good. Now the part's pretty well drawn. Let's just get rid of some of these draft lines, or layout lines. I call them draft lines. Some people call them layout. Whatever works. Okay, so that's pretty well in. And I'll come over here and draft this in across from right there. Tell you what I'm excited about is these lasered engraved scales and triangles, 30, 60, 90 triangles we made in school have really worked quite well. In fact, I'm quite impressed with them. And I like even using them some ways better than I like the ruler especially better than my typical architectural scale because I get a good flat edge to draw my pencil down. So I'm really liking that, like right there. You can see nice lines come in. And so anyway, we'll be making these from now on in my classes. And I think it's something when you put your name on, like Richard Platt, designer maker, that will impress your future employers or professors that you understand measurement and that you know how to make stuff. Okay, that's in. And that's in there. This drawing is almost done. Okay. All that's really left to do is to come back with this drawing once we get all these object lines darkened, is to come back in and to erase any of the overlines that we use for drafting or for layout, or drop lines, some people call them. Yeah, looking pretty good. I'm liking this part. Again, taking the time to do it right. An engineering manager or a drafting design manager can look at a person's portfolio and their plans, and they can tell the type of designer you are just by looking at your designs that you've drawn. They can see that you're meticulous, that you really focus on detail, and you are trying to be as professional as you can in what it is that you design. So we'll darken up 2 more lines, and then we'll come back and do some erasing. Okay, that's darkened in. Actually 3 more lines. Darken this guy here in, and darken him in. Okay, so there it is. Our 3-dimensional part from our top, our front, and our right view, and then our isometric view. Looks pretty good. Now all I gotta do is clean it up, put it in the portfolio. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. You know, I'm in my 60s now. I'm an older guy, but doing this kind of stuff to me is cathartic, if you want to use that word. It's also makes me feel good that I still got skills that can pay the bills, as the old saying goes. And if you can always draft, you can always have a job. You just gotta be aggressive and get out there and find people that'll look at your portfolio and get in there and get some job interviewing going. Heck, you could even do independent design and part design and architectural design if you can draft pretty well. I knew a guy right after I got out of college. I met this young man. He went to Texas A&M, and he talked about how he paid his way through school doing architectural floor plans. I said, what kind of CAD system do you use? I can use a CAD system. I just use a drafting board, and I sit in my dorm room at A&M, and I drafted up house plans as many as I could, as fast as I could. And I paid my way through college doing that. That's a real credit to his ability and his vision on where he could go with learning this skill. He did a real good job. In fact, I met him at an architectural company doing CAD design with a CAD system. He's a pretty good designer. Okay, drawing is done. I appreciate your patience, and I hope you learned something from this.